Subtle Realities, everyone. I have a very special guest today, actually extra special to me because he's my boss at the moment and the senior counsel that I'm working with right now in Sri Lanka in courts, practicing in Sri Lankan courts. He has a very impressive legal career under his name and a long way to go as an up-and-coming counsel in the Sri Lankan legal industry. And here I am about to cherish the opportunity to learn and inspire from his story. I was Mr. Pulasthi Rupasinha. Welcome to Subtle Realities. So, shall we start with the beginning of the story? And I would like to ask, who is Pulasthi Rupasinha and from where did the story start?
Well, I would say, an ordinary Sri Lankan middle class person. I would like to think that I am a product of the free education system. All my life I grew up in the Colombo district. My father is from Matara, my mother is from Maharagama. So I had my primary education at a school called President's College in Maharagama. Then after that I went to Nalanda Vidyalaya in Colombo. Then I did my A-levels at Royal College. So after I did A-levels in the art stream. Then after that I passed my A-levels, got selected to the law faculty in Colombo University. So so then I became an attorney at law, and for the last 11 odd years I've been practicing. I would say my story is the story of many products of the free education system. My parents did essentially like mid-level jobs at private companies, and I basically kind of had my whatever the little educational achievements or whatever the little progression in life I would say I have achieved thanks to the free education system, because I am a normal Sri Lankan middle class kid who got opportunities offered by our system, I would say, and achieved something in life.
I actually have a special question dedicated to the free education, but now I'm struggling whether to start with that or whether I want to ask you what made you want to become a lawyer in the first place, and is it worth it? Should we answer that question first?
So well, I am a lawyer by accident actually.
Okay.
What
was the accident?
So I think when people are like young, say you are like kids like me who are reasonably good in their studies. I was never like one of the brightest sparks in school. I studied in schools where actual geniuses study. They are like working at, you ask me, they are working at Google or Microsoft or NASA or in some medical school abroad. I was not one of them, but I was reasonably good in my studies. So people ask you, so what do you want to become when you grow up? I used to always say I wanted to become an archaeologist.
I see.
So I passed my O-levels fairly well, but I selected the art stream to do for two reasons. One is I wanted to do archaeology. Other reason was I'm pretty bad in maths actually. I'm very poor in maths compared to whatever the grades I achieved in other subjects. I'm very bad in math. So I did arts for A-levels. Then, so I wanted to go to university, I worked for that. Then, so I never wanted to do law, but then, so I was dating this girl those days.
Okay.
So she did commerce for A-levels. So because I wanted to meet this lady, I went to a CIMA course.
I see.
So I did CIMA. So I was doing CIMA. I was not really interested in doing CIMA, but I just did CIMA because I could then meet this girl.
Yeah.
Then the A-level results came, and it appeared that I could go to the law faculty. I knew that when the results come, you kind of have an idea as to whether you can go to a particular faculty or not. So then one of my lecturers in the CIMA class, who is an attorney at law, he still practices in Colombo, So so he asked me what I'm planning to do. I said I'm thinking of going to the arts faculty. But I have got, I know that I can do law. So I'm of two minds as to what to do. Then he said, you have done economics for A-levels. Now you have some sort of financial background. You are doing a finance qualification. You do a cost-benefit analysis and see whether doing an arts degree or doing a law degree, what would enable you to have a more comfortable life in the long run. So I kind of did that analysis and I thought, why not? Now that I have got selected to do law,
Yeah, why not?
Why not become a lawyer? So I am actually a lawyer by accident. I just went to the law faculty because I got selected to the law faculty. Not that I kind of consciously. So I don't have this inspiring story where I can say that I from a very young age I worked hard on becoming a lawyer or something like that. No, that was never my dream.
But like, so a romantic accident led you to go to university, selected to law faculty and became a lawyer. Can I ask now, is it worth it? So the cost benefit analysis is really right?
Well, I enjoy law actually.
Okay.
I mean, sometimes when you are introduced to something that you are not particularly interested in, sometimes later on in life you start appreciating it. And also, from a young age, I had a kind of sense of curiosity, and I don't normally take things at face value. I tend to question things. So I think for that kind of makes law interesting to me.
Okay.
So I find law very interesting. They're grappling with legal problems, the analysis so required, and also kind of doing out of the box things.
Yeah.
So I find law very interesting. I guess so. I think it's fully worth it because of course I don't know, I may have enjoyed some other career more, but now that I've become a lawyer, I won't say it was a waste of my time or energy because it's quite intellectually stimulating to me. I think that is one reason why I kind of stick to practicing, being a litigator. It's an intellectually stimulating exercise for me.
That's actually amazing to hear, but a lot of people who end up accidentally in some other professions, maybe because of the social pressure or because thinking this could actually help me financially, or like so many various other reasons, but they might end up regretting what they have not chosen, what their passion was in the beginning. So do you have anything to do with archaeology or that interest at all, or have you completely gone out of it?
No, I still, you've seen my library, it's full of history books. I kind of read up on it. I travel, I tend to go and see places. But yeah, I think it's, look, I think especially if you live in this country, I think you have to learn to kind of always have a bit of a realistic sense about what you can do in life. So I always try to have, not that I'm perfect or that I always do it. Sometimes I also feel kind of dejected and disillusioned about things, but I try to keep my expectations for something fairly realistic. So I think, so that way I think, so look, people can have various passions, but at the end of the day, what I always think, when people say that, what I always say is that we have, by going to university, by going to government university, we have taken the opportunity that could have been taken by somebody else.
I see. Yeah.
Because everyone who passes A-levels can't go to university.
Yeah.
Now that we have taken an opportunity that could have been taken by somebody else, we should strive hard to achieve the best possible outcome we can from the opportunity that has been given by the people to us. So that's what, when people say, okay, look, I could have been a musician, but I ended up being a doctor. I say, look, you became a doctor, and you became a doctor by depriving so many other people the opportunity of becoming a doctor. So if that is the case, make use of it. Do something that is firstly useful to you, but achieve as much as possible you can from the opportunity that has been given by the people to you.
That's a good way to look at things, because I know so many people who have become something but regret about the things that they have.
I generally try not to have regrets. I mean, it's something I strive to do. Like I always strive to not to have like hang-ups about things.
What ifs?
Yes.
What if I did that? What if I did this? That's a great way to look at it. But you kind of mentioned you did not, like, there are so many brilliant cases in your schools and stuff. But since I'm practicing with you, I know you have done so much bigger things as well. But the audience would know. So I would like to know what kind of like areas that you have been working on, and like, are there any special things that actually had like a massive impact on your personal life as well with these like cases that you're working on or worked with in the past?
So I mainly practice in Colombo. So I practice in the Supreme Court, the Court of Appeal. Then I practice in the district courts, but I don't take up much criminal law work. So mainly my practice areas would be commercial litigation and fundamental rights cases and writ applications in the Court of Appeal.
Yeah.
So I've been involved in a fair few cases because I'm as a junior counsel as well as a senior counsel. I've been involved in a few landmark cases. I've been involved in the 19th Amendment determination, then the National Minimum Wage Bill. Then I have done several international arbitrations. I mean, I've acted as a counsel. I don't want to go into specifics because, but I've done a few cases here and there, I would say. So, but what I would like to think about me is that I get retained for difficult cases.
Okay.
And I try to achieve two things. Preferably a successful outcome for my client.
Okay.
Or damage limitation.
Yeah.
I think I've been. I would like to think that I've been fairly successful in damage limitation to my clients in difficult circumstances.
I think that's one of the best outcomes that you can expect in the field like legal.
In litigation, I think so, because I try to not give too much of unrealistic expectations to clients. Normally my mantra would be that I have won many bad cases and I have lost many good cases.
Okay, how is that a mantra? I want more.
Because that keeps you grounded. Because I try to give realistic expectations to clients, because I would like to say, okay, sometimes you have to take a step back. Sometimes our objective should not be an outright victory, but damage limitation. Our objective would be to take a case, the progression of a case up to a particular point.
Yeah.
And thereafter see whether we can come to some sort of a amicable arrangement with the other side, which would be bad for our egos, but in a commercial sense or sometimes in a practical sense would be prudent from a client's perspective. But yeah, so that could be it. But You know, there's so many anecdotes I have about cases, but I don't think this it's suitable to discuss those things in a public forum, I think.
But like when it comes to not just the litigation or legal aspect, so I think one of the things the like youth is facing or taking it hard is acceptance of failures. We think, or the younger generations always think like you have to win. That's obviously like a victory part, but that's not how the world works. You have to have setbacks. You have to face failures. In litigation, most of the time, it's not just about victory, as you said. So how would you dust yourself? Like, okay, I have to go and do another case, because you can't just sunk in and then in the failures that you have.
Well, you can do few things. One is I always think that I have done my level best to the client. At the end of the day, we are agitating our problem before somebody else, before a judge or a panel of judges. So it's up to them to ultimately decide. But if you know in your conscience that you have done the level best to your client, I think that's what matters at the end of the day. And I mean, I of course have various views about the younger generation, but I think the younger generation should have well, what I observe from the younger crowd is that sometimes you got to kind of recalibrate your expectations.
I see.
Because real life is not as positive or rosy as you might think when you are like in your early 20s.
Yeah. So as a first generation lawyer myself, I know how hard it is to make a name, build a name in this industry, because like connection matters, PR matters, and also like even the language skill matters. Just working hard is not going to get you, like in itself wouldn't get you somewhere. Even the school that you go to matters. So when you started as a freshman, how did you face all these like the difficulties or like the hurdles that you have to face in this industry?
It's not easy. It's not easy. I mean, and you need a little bit of luck also, I think.
Okay.
When I started, I was not a counsel, I was working in the law firm. But and I'm always thankful to my senior, Mr. Kaiser Mustafa, because he's the person who gave me an opportunity. If not for him, whatever the little success I've had as a lawyer, I wouldn't have been able to achieve. But you need a little bit of luck. And also, I mean, like I like rap music, so you have to hustle.
Yeah.
Hustling is very
Famous
important.
quote of yours.
Yeah, you have to hustle. That's very important. And also, I think I said this before also. So you have to have realistic expectations about what you can do and what you can achieve, because you will see that. So two things. One is you will see that people who are have better connections than you, or whoever, who have I would say better financial resources than you, achieving things quickly. But I like to think, one thing I like to think is that it's not a 100-meter race, it's a marathon. I mean, and in the long run, things will kind of equate itself a little bit more, and as time progresses, your whatever the ability you have or the talent you have will come through. But again, you need a little bit of luck also. But the other thing what we need to think is we have to assess for ourselves what sort of improvements we have achieved in life compared to where we started.
That's actually a good thing.
So people might surpass you. You might also surpass where you were. Now, for example, if you went to school by bus and in after becoming a professional, say in 10 years time, you are the one of a couple of vehicles, you have to think for yourself, haven't I achieved something for myself in life? Your colleague who is there in the same office or in the same chamber or who is practicing in court with you, he may have gone to school in a Mercedes-Benz car. So him having a Mercedes-Benz, I don't think is a big achievement, because his life is the same.
Yeah.
I would like to think that I've achieved more than that individual, because I've started from the bottom and I have gone up. If you're already up, there's nowhere else to go, no? So I don't think we should be jealous of other people's achievements. If what I try to always think, I mean, I'm not that I always do that. I mean, I always have had my fair share of disappointments, disillusionments. I mean, about 7 years ago when I started practicing on my own, there were days that I just went to court, had a cup of tea and I came back. I didn't have work. But now looking back, I think it was worth it, because I was there in court. I mean, people started retaining me, and I managed to build up. I still think of myself as a newbie, but I managed to build up somewhat of a practice going forward. So, I mean, we have to assess for ourselves where we were at a particular point of time and where are we now. I mean, we shouldn't, I try not to be jealous of other people's achievements. So long as I am happy with what I have achieved in life, I don't think we should be bothered about what other people have achieved in life. Yeah. That's how I like to think of it. I mean, I think this contentment, the sense of being content with what you have, is within you. And I mean, I aspire to think like that. Not that I always think like that. I'm also a normal human being like you and anyone else. But I try to think like that, and I think in my own head and in my own estimation, I have achieved something in life.
I think that's a lot of us forget to do that. Like look back and like be happy where we are, or like be content of ourselves.
Yeah. So, but of course the I would say the flip side of it is a guy like me might not come across as very ambitious.
How come?
I don't know. It can happen because some people are driven by ambition, and again, that's something personal. That's why I say I think we shouldn't kind of, because I try not to judge myself relative to others.
Yeah.
I mean, there are few people that I look up to in a professional sense. So I try to learn from them. But that's it. I mean, I don't judge myself relative to other people's successes. Why should I?
Everyone has different timelines.
Yeah, exactly. And why should I? I mean, if I have a roof under my head, if I have a couple of vehicles, if I can travel abroad a couple of times a year, and live a fairly okay sort of a life, why should I be worried about what other people think?
Yeah, exactly. I think the focus has to come back to yourself.
Or what other people have done. I mean, they might have worked harder than me and got there also. But yeah, so but if you start from, but as a lawyer, I would say, when you start, you have to work hard. And always don't be focused about the monetary aspect of it.
Right.
This is something that I always tell the juniors. I mean, the next generation, the generation after our generation, the next generation of lawyers, your generation, I think. You guys are more focused about the fees then the quality of work.
Right.
When I started, I mean, even my wife, who is a lawyer, she's a commercial lawyer. When we started, then we focused more on the quality of work we did than the fees. The money will come. I'm not saying it will come in bucket loads. But if you work hard and if you apply yourself, and if other people think you are a fairly intelligent guy, the money will eventually come to a certain extent. But if you are focused on fees, it's very difficult for you to improve yourself.
Yes.
Now, I know personally that a lot of young lawyers nowadays are extremely reluctant to do legal aid cases. I still do legal aid cases.
Yeah.
I mean, not that doing legal aid cases is something that I should kind of volunteer myself to do, but I do it because I mean, once in a while you have to do that. Once in a while you have to do a free case.
Yeah.
And also, as I said, the quality of work is more important than the money. And if you are focused about the fees, then your thinking kind of gravitates towards the next fee, the next fee, the next fee.
Not what would you learn.
Yeah, and because I mean, you know this. I try to put in as much effort into a divorce case that I would do for a client who is a housewife. As I try, or a case that I do in the commercial high court, say an intellectual property dispute, I still put the same kind of effort, because I think one thing I can learn from it myself, because you learn every day. If you are in a profession which requires intellectual, like exercising of intellectual capacity, I think you learn every day. And the other thing is, when you put in an effort and do it, you might actually be investing your time, energy and effort for the better quality of work that you might get retained in the future.
I see. Yeah.
So that's what I try to do, and that's how I think about it.
Yeah. You answered my next question. I was about to ask, like, for someone who's starting fresh, what would you advise? How would you advise? And I think you answered that question. Do you have anything else to add to that?
No, I think that's about it. But I would say one more thing. You have to read. I mean, if you are talking about a legal career, I think you have to read. Even if you don't read law books, read other books. You have to read, because I think if you are a worldly individual, it's easy to practice law.
Okay.
Again, it all comes down to having a realistic estimation of who you are and where are you from. So I'm sure there are people who really don't need an education. But people who, like us, who come from not extremely affluent backgrounds, education is a way of getting ahead in life, I think. I mean, okay, all these people say Steve Jobs is a dropout, university dropout.
Yeah.
Bill Gates is a university dropout. But Bill Gates dropped out of Harvard, and
Not from the
Steve Jobs dropped out of Stanford, I think. So it's I don't think that doesn't mean that you can after A-levels go and become a cryptocurrency entrepreneur or whatever. I don't think that works like that. Because, I mean, education is important, because and also I think what a lot of people don't realize is education per se may not be in the real world. I mean, I have friends who are who have graduated from the Colombo University, like with me, and who have ended up being public servants or bankers. But when you get higher education, the other thing you get is you get prepared to the obstacles, the challenges, and the problems that you would face in real life. It adds a sense of maturity to you, I think. Oh, I mean, and also you should try to achieve it. I mean, I had an extremely unsuccessful. I was engaged in extremely unsuccessful endeavor to do university politics.
Right, I was like, where is this going?
But that has taught me a lot of things. I mean, I faced a disciplinary inquiry in university.
Wow, okay.
I mean, I had so many administrative issues, things like that. But that kind of prepared me, I think, for the real world. I mean, it's not about the stuff you learn per se. I mean, nobody can teach you life. I think you learn it for yourself. So when you get an education, I mean, you have to try to educate yourself to the fullest extent possible. I mean, at least to the best of your ability. That prepares you for various things in life, I think. So that way, I think education is important. And also, other thing is, I mean, look, everybody can't be Bill Gates. I mean, but anybody can be me or you.
Do you think so?
Yeah, I think so. Because anybody can be that. I mean, look, what people need to realize is that, okay, there is this saying that if you try hard, you can be anyone that you want to be. I don't believe that.
Okay.
But I think if you try hard, you can be better than what you used to be. So I think I don't see any harm trying. I think education is one way of trying like that.
That's important.
Yes. So I think because at the end of the day, what are we supposed to do in our? I mean, we are always trying to improve ourselves financially, as people, in a social sense. So to do that, I think education helps. So I don't buy into any of these things that people say, okay, education is overrated and all. I don't think that, because I think people who say that are, what I have realized is they are not being very honest with young people. Yeah. And they are just trying to sell a particular fantasy to young people to mislead young people. Yeah, that's what I think.
So the young people have to actually open their eyes and look in the real world.
I mean, when you are young, you are idealistic, you are naive. I mean, we were also like that. So again, it's a learning curve. I mean, we learn every day. I think I learn every day.
Yeah, I learned a lot from you today. Yeah, even though you said it's not, it's just like I'm just like there's nothing much, but there's so much in those words. Just to wrap up the conversation, I have like 3 quick questions. I want quick and honest answers.
Okay.
So the first one would be, what is the best achievement of your life? It's not the best case that you won. I'm asking about the whole general life of yours. What's the
I think the best achievement in my life is being married to the woman that I'm married to now. I mean, I met her in university.
That's awesome. Let's mention her name. I think she's an amazing woman as well.
Her name is Pavitra. So, I mean, I've known her from school days, but I started going out with her in university. And I got married when I was 26. Things worked out for me in life actually after I got married.
Okay.
And my wife has been a pillar of strength to me. And she's one of the smartest people I know. I mean, she's a fairly successful commercial lawyer in her own right. I don't think I would have done what I have done without my wife. In the sense, I think she has given me a sense of stability. And she has calmed me a lot, I would say.
I love that answer. That's just because I know a lot of people who just married for the sake of getting married. So marrying someone who actually becomes a pillar of your life is actually an achievement itself. That's amazing.
I think a lot of Sri Lankan men have to understand that it's okay to be married to a successful woman.
So much respect to that.
Because you don't need to worry about her too much.
Because people have this insecurity, especially among men, that if the woman is like the same level of you or like more educated.
I don't understand why. Look, if your wife earns well, you don't have to provide for her. So, I think even in a sort of number crunching sense, it makes sense. But no, to be on a serious note, look, you are getting married to an adult.
Yeah.
So you don't need to be like a father figure to her. So she's an equally she can equally kind of think for herself. Obviously, you have to deliberate, discuss, and you will fight, have disagreements about various things. But my point is, we should never be insecure about our spouses. I don't think wives have this problem. It's a problem that men have. I don't think we should be insecure about what our wives do in a professional sense, achievements. They can, if they achieve more than us, we should be proud of it.
That's awesome. I'm really happy that
so
I asked
I think that I like to think like that, and just coming back to that, I think it's the biggest achievement in my life.
It has quickly become not the quick answers. I want to add more to that, but we are kind of running out of time. So I'll go to this next question. Do you have an advice or a quote that you live by?
Not one, but I have.
I would love to hear more, like a couple.
I think you know this. I try not to be. Oh, one thing I would say is that money will not make your life happy, but it will make your life a lot less miserable.
You just said it in the morning today, or yesterday.
Then there's another thing that I try to do, that is I try not to be jealous about other people's enjoyment. But that doesn't mean that I won't laugh at them. Because I have a very morbid sort of a sense of humor, so that kind of helps me keep going. And
what are your words?
I try not to instruct people. If people come for me for an advice, I will give them. Otherwise, I try to stay out of other people's lives.
I think that's something the whole society as Sri Lankans need.
So those are like the kind of codes I try to live by.
Yeah, because we love commenting on other people's lives. So
well, you can laugh at them. I think that
like in a distance, right?
Yeah. At the end, look. what I would like to tell you, like, just to, I don't know, if you do things in the public domain, you are bound to get commented upon, and you have to have a thick skin.
Right.
Yeah.
Fair
If
enough.
you derive a sense of pleasure or enjoy or have a sense of achievement of doing something, and if other people laugh at you, like me, like people like me, like you know, who will always laugh. I mean, you know this. I have this. I have a very damning morbid sense of humor. But you got to live by it.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't mind getting ridiculed myself. So I think as an advocate of free speech, I think I'm also entitled to ridicule other people.
So moving on to the next question. So if you can say one thing to your younger self, go back to like let's say 16 or 17, like the age that you started to hustle. What would you say?
Nothing.
Nothing.
Yeah. I had a ball when I was still I was about, from the time I was about 16 till I finished university. That was the best time of my life. I had so much fun. I would say nothing. I would change certain things later on in life, but I wouldn't change anything of my life those days.
Right.
I mean, I did a lot of not socially acceptable things. But yeah, I had a lot of fun.
And you learned from them, right? Or did you?
I don't
Did you
know.
not?
That I don't know. I'm not a. You should ask my wife probably. I mean, she has known me since I was like 17, because we went to the same tuition classes.
Right.
So you can probably ask her, but I don't know. But I won't change anything. I had a blast when I was
In that age.
in my late teens and early 20s.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, I was a nerd. I was a nerdy kid in a certain sense, but I was not as much of a nerd as my parents thought I was.
Right. That paints a picture.
So I won't like to say various things I did in like a public forum, but I had a lot of fun those days.
So it actually comes back to you saying, I don't regret. Like you genuinely said you try not to regret about the things that you did,
Yeah.
so you don't.
Yeah,
That's
I don't.
amazing.
I mean, I won't say I mean, there are certain things that probably I've done in life I think I should have done differently. But I mean, overall, I don't regret anything. I mean, I try to move on from things.
That's perfect. Because like doesn't matter whether you regret
Because,
or you can't change.
Because I think I told you recently, I try to keep myself busy all the time.
Yeah.
So that I don't have to think about things like kind of ponder about what ifs and what could have beens and
Yeah.
what about all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, so if you can find a means of occupying yourself about 12 hours a day, you can do that.
You're sorted.
Yeah, you should be okay.
That's awesome. I love the conversation. Thank you so much. So as I always call you, thank you. It was a great conversation.
Nice talking to you also.
Yeah, thanks. Thank you for your time. I know how busy you are, so thank you for making the time, and I hope you all
My
enjoyed.
pleasure. Thanks.
Thank you.